Hey everyone, guess what? We have a little bit of show and tell today.
I recently acquired a giant record collection from my grandparents.
Giant?
It's the biggest one I've ever owned, so someone else might say otherwise. Yeah, 2 heavy boxes.
Okay, I know I struggled, but that was pretty heavy. Okay,
I'm gonna put a clip in it of us putting it onto a scale. We haven't done it yet, but we're gonna do it now. That's heavy. All right, let's put these back on the ground so we can. We've already gone through these, and some are, some duds, kind of boring ones, but there's a couple gems in there that we've picked out. So
yeah,
that's what we're gonna show you today.
It was interesting. It was just like us getting a look at what Jordan's grandparents were listening to throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s in the great record area.
Yeah.
Record era.
Well, I mean, whenever we think about records, we kind of usually think about 70s, maybe 80s, but we don't really think about, 50s, 60s.
Well, when I think of records, I think of like the classic rock and roll and everything like that.
Led Zeppelin, AC/DC.
Yeah, I mean, basically because that's what Elvis and everything, like that's what my dad used to listen to, and that's what his record collection is. So as we were going through these, it was like a totally different perspective of their taste and style.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna show you a couple of the favorites that stood out to us and that we thought were quite interesting, and again, gives us a glimpse of what these people were listening to back in the day.
Yeah, but before we do that, we need to get to the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. Growing up, I always thought therapy had a bit of a stigma. That if you used therapy, it meant there was something wrong with you. I'm sure I could have greatly benefited from therapy as a teen, but I never wanted to admit that there could be something I was struggling with. Also, I never thought my problems were big enough to go talk to a professional. I didn't want to waste anyone's time.
But in reality, where we live, that's not the case at all. Take this for example. You want to get physically fit? Sure, you could save all the videos on different workouts you want, but are they truly the exercises you need to be doing? Maybe you go see a personal trainer, and it turns out you were going in the wrong direction, and they help guide you on the best path to get to where you want to go.
Therapy is very similar in the sense where they're trained and qualified to help guide you to a happier and healthier mind. And that's where BetterHelp comes in.
With most therapy institutions, you join a long wait list to be placed with a therapist that could take up to several months. But with BetterHelp, it usually takes within 48 hours to be matched with a licensed therapist that is trained to listen and give helpful, unbiased advice.
And the best part is, you can do it from your phone or computer, via phone call, video chat, or messaging, however you feel comfortable. It's the easiest way to start talking with a therapist. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist that can support you.
When you sign up, you take a quiz about where you're at mentally, what you want to work on, how you want to change, and this will help connect you with the best therapist out of their huge network of tens of thousands of licensed therapists. And you begin communicating with your therapist right away. And if the therapist that is matched with you isn't a good fit, you can simply switch to a new one.
There's a link in the description. It's betterhelp.com/Jordan and Amanda, and get a special discount on your first month. Mental health is as important as our physical health. And with how much information we're being fed with the growth of social media, it's very important to keep a check on our minds. BetterHelp wants to make therapy more accessible so that can be achieved.
Again, we try to make sure our bodies are fit, but we tend to forget to make sure our mental health is fit as well. Thank you again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. And without further ado, let's do this. Okay, so let's get to the first pick.
Sure. My first pick is the Great Band Era.
Look at that case.
Yeah.
It's like not even just like cheap cardboard. It's like literally what they make like book bindings out of.
Yeah, like sometimes, when you get like a, that paper sleeve from like a DVD, you usually throw those out. This, you don't throw out. This is a high quality.
So like, how sometimes you would get like those CD collection, like collections?
Yeah, you like the 80 best songs from the 80s.
Yeah, or something like that. So
yeah. These are the best songs from 1936 to 1945.
And
I don't think anything else was going on during that year's end, by the way.
Okay, so the one thing I loved about it, so there's probably about, looks like about, how many records? There's 10 records in here. And what I loved about this case is like all
the
of
artwork,
the artwork.
The pastel kind of style artwork.
All the different artists.
Yeah.
And we did not put these back in order after looking at them
That's
originally.
Okay. Yeah, you got like Glenn Miller, Tommy Dorsey, Guy Lombardo, like all the greats from that time. It's all like orchestra music.
It's so cool. Like, I cannot wait to listen to these.
Yeah, and they're all like mint condition, by the way. Like
you get like a little catalog, kind of going over all the artists and the songs, a certificate of
authenticity
from Reader's Digest.
Yeah.
Remember Reader's Digest?
Yeah, it's funny how in our era, right, Reader's Digest was like just that book that had like recipes and stuff like that. But Reader's Digest back then was like a massive company, and they did so much.
Okay, my first pick was Cat Stevens, Buddha in the Chocolate Box. Has anyone ever heard of this album? I mean, I'm familiar with Cat Stevens. This album, I'm not sure.
I think it's pretty famous. I've seen this picture a few times.
Okay, why this album stood out to me was the artwork on the very back.
Yeah, very interesting.
It like tells a story. Boy walking in the woods. Boy befriends a
spider
with a flute. Boy gets an idea in his head. I'm hungry. I want chocolate. The chocolate appears. Ooh, I eat the chocolate. The chocolate is shaped as a Buddha. I walk off into the sunset with my pet spider.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, we haven't listened to it yet, whether we can or not. I haven't looked at the quality or what the record even looks like, if it's playable or not. It's all scratched up.
Okay, your turn.
My next one is something I have a question for my grandmother for.
Serenade for Lovers.
Romantic mood music.
I don't know if you want to talk to your grandmother about this.
You know what? I think you're right. Yeah, never mind. Scratch that. I'm moving on. But again, here's another one of these collections, right? Like, it's just massive quality case again.
Heavy.
Yeah.
I think this is like a good
Four
or 5 pounds.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of music this is.
What I liked about this one,
orchestra.
okay, well, for one thing is this one came with a magazine, so you can go and look at all the other different subscriptions that are available with this company.
Yeah.
And they even had stamps.
Yeah, so they paid for your mailing subscription.
That's so cool. I wonder if the subscription will still work. No.
Yeah, I doubt that. 1965, I think.
I know. One thing I liked about this case, how they went with the records, is that look at like
you can see exactly where
the
they
easy
are.
pull order of them. So, and I love the vibrant green.
Yeah.
Okay. Who knows who Lily Tomlin is?
Lily Tomlin.
Okay, so this isn't music. It is, well, you know how we scroll on YouTube and Instagram for your favorite comedic reels? Well, back then you couldn't watch them, so you listened to them.
Yeah, this was the Netflix special of the day.
I mean, you probably could have watched them, but if you had like a TV, which you had to be loaded.
Air once.
You had
that was it.
and you had to be loaded to have a TV back then.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I just thought these were really interesting. I can't wait to actually listen to it.
Yeah, some of the I guess it lays out all her bits and everything.
Yeah, all her acts, like the pageant, FBI, the mafia and the Pope.
The mafia and the Pope? I gotta listen to that.
IBM, the repairman.
Yeah.
The obscene phone call.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Right. Moving on.
Okay, your turn.
All right. So, sure you've all heard of the Carpenters, or Carpenters rather. I thought this was interesting because so if you notice this song, Help, it's written by John Lennon, Paul McCartney. But it's not the help you're thinking of. It's, I think they wrote this song for them, which is an uncommon for artists to have other artists to write songs for them. But I just thought it was interesting because they had such big hitters, you know.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, why would members of the Beatles write a song for someone else?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and they have a song named Help.
and that's another thing, right? Like, they wrote a song called Help for another band when they already have a song
and
called
you listen
Help.
to it, it's not the same one.
Not at all.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting.
Alrighty. This one is Broadway Cocktail Party. Woo.
Yeah, you're fun.
Okay, I liked this one because it has a lot of like my favorite theatrical hits. So like Sound of Music, like stuff from Sound of Music,
West Side
Music
Story.
Man, yeah, West Side Story, Gypsy. A couple of the others I'm not quite familiar with, but yeah, I thought it would be a pretty good album to listen to. So it just kind of stood out, and
Yeah. And this 101 Strings, I don't know if it's a show or if it's just an orchestra that does cover music. I've seen that a few times on different albums. So,
interesting.
yeah. All right, this is my last one. The soundtrack to Barry Lyndon.
Who is Barry Lyndon?
It's not who. Well, actually, you know what? It might have been, but it was a movie by Stanley Kubrick. And that's kind of what caught my interest, aside from the beautiful artwork. He did The Shining, Clockwork Orange, 2001: A Space Odyssey. But yeah, I've never heard of this movie, Barry Lyndon. And the really bummer about this too is no record.
Oh, you never found it?
No, I was really bummed about that.
All of those records in that rando box.
Yeah. Very disappointed about that.
I do like the artwork on the front.
It's neat, eh?
Apparently this movie had everything. It had romance, it had violence, it had
family things. And murder.
sexual content.
Sexual content. Most
It
important.
had it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, my last one was
Barry Manilow Live.
this one just stood out to me, mainly because
It's huge. It's pretty thick.
It had more than one album in it, I
Yeah,
believe.
it
So
had a few records in it.
yeah. So
One thing I heard about this record, I kind of looked up briefly. This was significant to his career because this is kind of when he changed his sound. I'm not sure what he sounded like before. I'm assuming kind of like the Carpenters, very reserved.
really?
Yeah.
Barry Manilow was reserved.
Maybe, yeah. So this was his coming out of his eccentric sounds.
Seemed like a really colorful guy. But yeah, that was my last one, and I do not think this was your grandparents' album.
No, I think this was probably my aunt's. Growing up, she probably just left it there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, not quite my grandparents' taste.
No, but
Yeah. But yeah, those were the records that really stood out to us. There's a few other cool collections, but a lot of religious gospel kind of music. Doesn't really tickle our fancy.
yeah. Oh, also another little thing that Jordan taught me.
Wait, what? Oh, yes.
Yeah,
sorry.
so we were looking at this record, and he pointed out what this picture or painting means.
Yeah, so that was originally done back in late 1800s, I think, the picture. And it was originally of a dog listening to a scrollograph, if anyone knows what that is. It's like a record player, but instead of round record like this, it was like a cylinder that had these lines kind of wrapped around it. And it was titled His Master's Voice. If anyone else recognizes that title, HMV. That was a record store in Canada and the UK. Very popular. We went there anytime we went to the mall. Mm-hmm. It was great.
The last time we've been in an HMV, like they closed all the ones here in North America.
Yeah.
And the last time in 2017,
Yeah.
we were in London and we found an HMV.
Yeah, very, very excited.
Yeah, but yeah, I never knew that though. His Master's Voice. I always wondered where that came from. So,
Yeah, I always wondered what HMV stood for. It was.
yeah. And the scrollograph was before the.
You know, actually, I don't know if
Record
it came
player.
first.
I think it came first.
I don't know. I know it was big in like the 1900s and teens and 20s. Mainly, it was like kind of like a poorer option of home listening. But yeah, that's my record collection. I don't know if I showed you guys these yet. The random, did I explain this yet? I don't think I did.
Oh,
so,
no.
You know how people that grew up in the 90s and 2000s, they had that random stack of CDs with no cases? Well, now I am the beloved owner of a random stack of albums with no sleeves.
And all scratched. Doesn't that sound familiar?
Yeah, a lot of them are pretty destroyed. We decided to lay them all out on the floor here. I'll show a clip of that right now. Like, look at all these. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if my grandfather was like a record collector. Clearly he was. It almost seems like they had like a subscription or something. 15 cents a month, like.
Subscribe to a magazine instead. Subscribe to...
Yeah, just because, like, look at these paper sleeves. All-Star Records. Yeah, they're so old, and they're all like classical kind of music.
Well, they
some kind of hokey music, but some are like, you know, I don't know if they're like big composers or not, but
they obviously lost a lot of sleeves, though.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. These would have all had sleeves, and they probably just threw a lot of them out. A lot of history right here. You got Columbia, Brunswick, Decca, Victor Records.
We did not scratch them. They were scratched prior.
Yeah, they were pretty destroyed prior. There's 100 of them. Oh, and they all look like this. And they're very thick. Like, they don't flex at all. Like, if I flexed it, it would just shatter. It's pretty wild. Yeah, I think my grandparents were on like a mailing list of some sort of, you know.
Interesting thing to get in the mail.
And we tried to play some of them, and some of them kind of played, but it sounded like those old radio drama music.
Yeah, but the sound was just totally off on certain pitches and ended up scaring the child and the cat.
Yeah, they didn't like it too much.
So, but I mean, it could be my record player. I can try it on my dad's and see if it's any different. But
Does anyone else read that title?
What?
The
Wang Wang Blues. We got to go through some of those titles.
Yeah. Anyways, that's my new acquired collection from my grandparents.
It gave us a cool little insight into what they were into back in the day.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, my grandparents, they're very old-fashioned, kind of, but they didn't really talk about their past very much to us. So it was kind of neat to look into this to kind of give a glimpse of what they were like back in the day.
Yeah, and like, I mean, well, we learned a little bit of what your grandpa was like too.
Yeah, and it was kind of nice because I lost my grandfather last year, and now my grandmother's moving into a home after 70 years of being in the same house, believe it or not.
Her living room, it could be like a TV set for the 70s.
Yeah, it's never been updated.
Since that time.
Yeah, and it's actually in really good shape too. It didn't look ratty at all.
No.
Yeah, she kept very good care of it.
It's a time capsule.
Yeah. So this was very nice to look back to, and yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them because a lot of them aren't playable, but we'll see.
A lot of the good collections over here in the boxes.
Yeah, we'll definitely try to keep a lot of
keep those and everything, but the other ones we might just turn into bowls. Sorry, that's like a family, it's a family joke. That's why we're laughing.
Yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed looking at this as much as we did.
Yeah, so anyways, till next time.
Bye.